A lot. I think they have a lot more responsibility when it comes to their NIL, their name and likeness. You can't just be a athlete and a student anymore. You are a brand.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much again for joining Students of the Game. This is the conversation where we sit down with current and former athletes to talk about their journey as being athletes and also their transition from sports to the real world. Today, we are sitting down with Bre'yanna. I'm so excited to have this conversation with you. And of course, we have Coach White, but I'll kick it over to both of them and let them introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. I'm Coach White.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bre'yanna Johnson. I played softball at Southwest DeKalb High, and currently I'm a director of communications and marketing.
Perfect. Thank you so much for being here with us again, Bre'yanna. I'm going to jump right in because we talk about community a lot on the show, but a lot of people may not know where to go to find their communities after leaving sports. So can you talk a little bit about the communities that you've built outside of sports? And have you taken advantage of any like sports related context that you've gotten over the years?
So for me, athleticism never leaves you. So when I wasn't playing softball, I'm shadowing the athletic director in college. I'm asking, can I run the halftime show? Can I do the stats for this sport? That just led to different avenues of just being able to go to different games and learn it behind the scenes. So that's how I led to several different communities. And that also allowed me to do pairing with some of the marketing. Like now they want to know my input on what does the uniform should look like? What does the new flyer for the game look like? So it kind of worked itself out. But just not being afraid to ask, can I join? Can I have input? Can I sit in the meeting?
I love that. Now, can we back it up a little bit and talk about your experience with being around athletics? So first in high school, and then how you got those opportunities in college to be inside of the director's office or like talking about jerseys and things like that. That's like a big jump.
Yeah, okay, sure. So in high school, I played softball. I was a outfielder. It didn't matter, center field, left field, right field, wherever Coach White put me that day. So from there, I played softball in college at Payne College. I played the corners sometime, and then I think my senior year, I started playing center field. From there, I did work study during my time and tenure at Payne. So I got to work under the athletic director, just doing all of the things when you're not being a softball player. So from there, Payne started a football team at the time. So I was like, ooh, can I help with that? Whatever that looks like. And once I got in the room, we figured out what it looks like for me and how I was an asset.
Outstanding.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
And you made history because not many people can say they were in the room helping make decisions or being that person that the coach might have leaned on as they built up a program from scratch. So I'm sure you learned a lot and that you took it with you outside of school.
It was cool. I actually ran for Miss Homecoming that year, and I was the only queen because they didn't have a team after that, so I was the only one. So, yeah, it did kind of make history that way.
So, Bre'yanna, I really want to focus in on this. How do you think sports has changed over the years since you've departed high school?
It's changed a lot. I think they have a lot more responsibility when it comes to their NIL, their name and likeness. You can't just be a athlete and a student anymore. You are a brand. And I'm in communications, so I'm all about branding. I didn't necessarily have to think about that. I had to think about not getting in trouble with you. However, now they have to think about not getting put on the shade room, not being put on ESPN for saying something, doing something. When it's a weekend, they have to remember they are a walking billboard at all times. They can make money and create revenue and generate revenue for themselves before they even get to college. So it's a lot more responsibility. It has changed because it's kind of a job now, which in the pros, it's a job. But when you're a high schooler, it's supposed to still be fun. I want to build my stats. It's a business now. It's so much different.
So it's so funny that, you stated that. I had a conversation just recently, and I was torn because the NIL deals and in the way the young student athletes approach trying to learn the game. It has interfered with their growth. So in my opinion, at my level, in my knowledge of the sport, I think we're doing more damage now to the student, because not only do they have to worry, and I'm focusing on high school, you have to focus on your grades, you have to focus on your stats, you have to focus on your NIL deal. When are you a kid?
And you know what? I'll say this. I never could imagine, if it's not for a college looking to give you a scholarship, they're not pulling you out of class to present you with something. But if that's what you're getting at the high school level, what if you don't receive something like that again? Can you compare yourself now? Am I not as good? Like, it could do some things to you. But everybody's watching you now. I could never imagine, like, in high school having to deal with that. I couldn't.
It's psychological. It's kind of scary. When you're an adult, you think about your personal brand a lot because it can open doors for you. You can get new jobs. You can meet people that you've never been able to meet before. But I think it might be social media, because when I was coming up, people were on like Facebook and Twitter. When you were coming up, I don't know what everyone was on or what was popular, but like I don't know if people were. Oh, it was MySpace. Were people putting their sports related things on MySpace?
Your parent or your coach would take care of your, what is it? Is it Max Prep?
It's Max Prep.
Max
It's
Prep.
Max
Your
Prep.
coach or your school would be handling that. But now parents are manning the YouTubes for their child. You know, parents are working on it, and they're talking to the coach and negotiating at this point. It's out the gate negotiating as middle schoolers. Like, I have parents come to me for marketing services to market their child as a brand as a middle schooler. So high schools fight for you now. It's real wild out here now.
So, Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
I have to address this because as a coach, you know, I am flat out disturbed by what I hear or what I see. In my opinion, again, this is just mine, we do not have the same level of talent now due to the marketing. We're too busy creating actors and actresses rather than athletes. Can you give me your feed on that? Do you believe the same thing?
It's a double-edged sword for me, and I'll say why. My husband's a football coach, so I have watched the players do the aesthetic. You know, when they're wearing certain parts that have nothing to do with their athleticism. Outside of the jersey, they want to wear certain socks a certain way. That is a part of the aesthetic and the facade that they're putting on. And then there's me that work on the marketing side. It helps those brand deals come. It helps those opportunities to be brought to them because now their clip has gone viral because they have great marketing. It's kind of like get with it or get lost. All of the platforms more than likely are free. But is it fair to the student who is athletic but does not buy into the marketing? No. It's just the marketing has helped one look better than the other. But they heavily rely on the clips to get their word and their name out there. So it's very sticky for me because I do have a lot of athletes that I market because I do sports marketing when I'm not at work. So it's hard because I see how it helps with their stats. It helps make their clips better. But is it taken away from their authentic skill? Probably. It probably is, because you can live off of a video you put together off of a 30-second clip and chop it up. It looks like a whole game if you make it look like that. So you're really not selling what you're supposed to be selling. So I'm in the middle. I'm stuck because I have a passion for the marketing side, and I see how the athletes are really using it. They're using it to the death of them.
So I got to go back because this is your profession. Can you state the name of your business?
Yes, it's called Honeybee Media Services. I offer all branding and public relations.
Okay. I really support all the former student athletes who ventured out into the adult world, found their passion in their career, and I commend you for that. From the marketing standpoint, what can we do to encourage the student athletes to focus on their craft? That's the key, their craft. Because if we focus on our craft and allow Honeybee to catch them fine-tuning their craft, we have a better marketing tool. We can market that product and that product will sell.
Yes. Okay. So that part I totally agree with. My husband does not play that. There's no phones on his field. So we are not influencers, like he likes to say. You are a football player and you're a student athlete. So what you do is you allow the coaches and the school to get your authentic tape. And you allow someone like me, because I do help with their sports marketing. He gives the footage to me, I create it, give it back to him, you get it that way. You don't spend time creating your own reels. You don't bring that phone on the field and get a little clip here and there. That's not what they're there for. So that's kind of how, where my husband is, how we combat that. You allow the school to get your footage, because if you're going to perform, we're going to capture it. We'll get it to the right person. We have media days when you want to be in your acting mode. You have media days for a reason. You take those specific photos and angles, and then you go back and be in the player after that. So that's how you combat it. In my world, you don't have your phone on the field. You're not creating a reel while you're at practice. It's none of that. It's a clear line between the two.
Okay. And I respect that. I think programs that have systems in place, and when we can execute the systems, I think that's when we get the genuine product to the market. You know, when we see successful programs out there, they have a system and it works for them.
Yeah, I used to work in higher education, and I used to tell the students, ask them what's the difference between a D1 student and a D2, and they would always say some weird answer. And I tell them, you can go to any college in the world. If you're as good as you say you are, they're going to find you. They pay people to fly around the world to find those athletes that have raw talent, that just have the gift of gab. So you don't have to have all the glitz and glamour. If you have the stats, they will find you. So that's kind of the same model. You don't really need a clip, a viral reel. If you're as good as you say, they're going to come to the game. They're going to see it in real time, in action, and they're going to be at your door.
I love that, Bre'yanna. You know, in my heart, I actually felt something there. When you stated that raw talent,
yeah,
I really wanted to find that word raw talent, just pull it out. Yep. Because I think that's all. And, you know, in my previous chat, I stated that if you had the passion and the desire to compete, things shall happen for you, you know. And I think we've lost that, and I really hope that we can find that raw talent once again in individuals. Deja.
Yeah, I want to bring it back to you a little bit, and I'll stick on the topic of raw talent. Going into college, what was your mindset like with transitioning? Because it's a different mindset when you're in high school playing a sport and then you go off to college and play that sport. Can you tell us a little bit about that journey for you?
So I committed to paying my junior year. My softball coach at Southwest DeKalb, she was talking to me about what school, Coach Golden, what school would be perfect for me. We did some research, and I took a tour, and I could see myself attending there for 4 years. And I committed junior year. I knew senior year where I was going to go. So I had a mindset of, I know where I'm going to go. This is going to be home. When I got there, softball pretty much stayed the same. It just became 2-a-days and more balancing of time. But other than that, I knew that I couldn't come back without a degree. For one, I'm a first-generation graduate. My parents graduated literally 2 weeks after me in undergrad. So I knew I had to come back with a degree. I knew that I had to make the place better than I found it. And I knew that this was supposed to be a 4-year investment for me. So what is the best that I can make it while I'm here? It was a small HBCU. I knew I didn't want to go to a big school because I went to a big high school. So I went to a small college purposely that I could figure out who I was, put my roots down, grow, who can I become, and not feel lost or overwhelmed. So that's kind of the transition. After a while, I'm good with multitasking, so the 2-a-days became normal. The 8 a.m. classes never became normal. As soon as I got the opportunity to not do those, I didn't do those. But it was difficult transitioning with high school. Your games are certain days a week, certain months of the year, and then you go on to something else, go forth and prosper. In college, I never had a spring break. I went to school in Augusta. Most of my classmates worked at the Masters and made thousands of dollars within 1 week. I was in Alabama doing crossover every year. I never experienced a spring break because I was a softball player. So, you know, that's a makeup week for games. That's a conference. It was just a lot of consistent dedication at all times.
Yeah. Did you ever feel misunderstood as a student athlete, or like people didn't really understand all the work that you put into being a student athlete? Because it sounded like you did a lot in college that maybe your friends and family didn't understand as you was going through it.
I'm going to say no without a shadow of a doubt. No, because they saw it coming before it happened. I played travel ball when I was little. I've always been a multitasker. My business is called Honeybee because I'm always buzzing around doing something. So that's where that came from. So when I was in college, I actually ran for a Greek court. I was a RA. So I did other things. So my friends knew Bree has this today. We're going to go support. Bree has that. Bree has a game. I'm never in my dorm. So it was not hard. In order to be on this ride of Bre'yanna, you had to know she was always going to be involved. But it worked to my benefit because when I graduated from being a student ambassador during my tenure at Payne, they offered me a full-time position in grad school to be a recruiter. So the doors started to open on their own because of how busy I was and it was like an interview, how I was showing up in my proper attire and not wearing bonnets as a student. You know, I was looking like I was prepared to be pulled, to be put in a meeting, or be pulled to say, hey, this is our student athlete. She has this GPA. Tell us about your experience as being a student. You have to be ready at all times. So I was kind of being curated while I was at Payne, and during those 4 years, it just worked for me. I always took advantage of my professor's open door policy. I would invite them to my game so they could see I'm not just trying not to be in your class. I promise you I have a game and it's hard. And they would come or they would support if I had a Royal Court event, just to give them a better insight on my life as just a person, not just an athlete. You know, yes, I'm a student and I want you to see me as a student first, but I want you to come support too. So going to their open door policies, turning in work early and saying, hey, can you give me some critiques? I'm a week early so that I can get it right because I'm going to be at a game the day it's due. So I tried to use that the best I could.
I love that. I love that insight. I don't think
yes.
It was hard.
most people think about that. And I love when you said that you just showing up was like a mini interview without you even realizing it. People were paying attention to you before you even put in an application to work or do what you needed to do after you graduated. So that leads me to my next question. I want to focus in a little bit on how you articulate you as a person beyond athletics. So you said you worked as a recruiter. I don't know if it was academic recruiting or athletic recruiting, but how did you articulate what you could do as you were going into more roles beyond sports?
Okay, sure. So I believe in always shooting your shot. I believe that hard work beats talent 100% of the time. I just truly believe that. I believe if you work at something 100 days in a row, you're going to be better than somebody that just has it in them because they stopped working and you didn't. So I say all that to say, I just asked. When I left Payne and became a graduate in grad school, I think I asked a recruiter one day, like, hey, I'm an alum now. Is there a way for me to just do recruiting at events that are in my area because I'm from DeKalb County. It's one of the biggest cities. And they ended up saying yes. So they relied on me to do recruitment events for them when I had extra time. Recruiting I did at missions. So I would do the acceptances, the denials, the scholarships, all those things. But I did it for my alma mater because I first asked, can I shadow? I'm an alum. So going from shadowing, when they wanted to, we had a presidential change. We had a new president. And he asked, why don't we have a recruiter in Georgia, in Atlanta? And they said, well, we have somebody that's been offering, and no interview. I mean, I had a conversation with him, but there was no application put in. I had already been showing that I could do it beforehand. So when they needed someone, they just thought of me, and I went from there to Clayton State doing the same thing, doing the acceptances and denials and the, going through the application process with students, helping them with FAFSA, just being a first generation graduate. My mom worked at a college, but I know that some people didn't have that resource or that luxury. So it was a skill that I had, a resource that I had, and I knew how to teach it to others. So I just got in that field to just make sure other first generation students had at least the resources. You do what you want once you get them, but I wanted to do my part to make sure you have them. So that's how I got into higher education right out of college.
Before we move forward, Bre'yanna, I want to share this with you. That love, that drive, that passion, your father was one of the most powerful advocates for you. As a coach, a young coach at the time, I can tell you, but I never shared it with him, but I want to share it with you. He and I had a meeting, and I did a lot of growing during that meeting. I learned a lot, and I was able to see more things from different lenses. So when I hear you talk about resources, giving young people an opportunity, putting yourself in a position when no one is asking you to do so, you were prepared for that journey. That's all I'm telling you. Your dad, he gave you those lenses, just like he shared with me, that it's just natural for you. It's no work, because that's that gift. That's a gift.
I scare myself sometimes.
Don't be afraid of who you are. Just don't be afraid of who you are.
Thank you.
So share with your father that he has great lenses. Sometimes, people can't see what you see when you see it. But if they have an open mind, they will see it. So I thank him for giving me that opportunity and blessing me with the opportunity to continue to be a part of you guys' life, to influence you as well.
I received that.
You stated a lot of great information for our young student athletes. So hopefully they can see through your lenses what they need to do to bring out that raw talent within them.
So they can do it. You just got to be persistent.
Yes, they can do it.
Yep.
I think it requires a lot of us communicating that to them. With all the noise, sometimes it gets kind of confusing because it's a lot of noise. I'm speaking from a coach's point of view now. And consider our area here a major area. But when you have small areas, rural areas, that don't have as much noise, they generate natural raw talent. And when you have the opportunity to go off to a college, you realize that. Something else you said, still looking from those lenses now, you made up in your mind as a junior that you wanted to go to a small college so you can hone your skills, so you can be sharp. Is there a certain, and I'm shifting into the next question, is there a certain time when student athletes should focus on transitioning to identifying their next direction?
Yes, but they should do it from a student athlete standpoint, student leading the conversation. This is my recruiter side coming out. If you are in high school, sophomore year, you need to be taking college tours every year, probably every semester. You need to be taking college tours your sophomore year because you're eligible starting your junior year, second semester, to start applying to colleges. So it defeats the purpose if you're eligible to apply second semester junior year and you haven't been on a campus. You don't know what one school looks from the other. So as an athlete, when you pair that, what level do you want to play at? What school is a target school that you can get in academically first and that your skill set and athleticism meets? What school is a reach school that you might not even be able to get in, so you might not even need to look at? Or it would be a stretch, a challenge to get your GPA higher. Which school can you get in with your eyes closed and they have athletics that you want to play? So you have to factor in all of those things, but I say around sophomore year, sit down over the summer. Do I want to play sports? At what level do I want to play sports? What school do I think I could make the team or think I could submit my stats to that would get feedback from the coach? That would be the first thing, would be around sophomore year. Start looking at that. And then junior and senior year, you're attacking and submitting, and your first step should be to get accepted into the college, and then you put that athleticism on top of it.
Okay, all right. So now this is my specialty. This is Coach White's specialty. I love what you just said because that's been my template for years. When should they start testing their entrance exam?
You can take the PSAT and the practice versions your sophomore year. If you're in any outside community service groups, like I was in Delta Gyms, it was provided by Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. They paid for us to take a few practice versions. So that was outside assistance that I had. The school or just my parents didn't even have to give. So they should be taking it their sophomore year. It is changing since COVID. They don't weigh on the test scores as heavy anymore. But that's where your GPA can catch you as well.
Again, early on in the conversation, we spoke about that journey. We want to take advantage of every opportunity that's presented. Testing as a sophomore, knowing where we are, researching colleges, late sophomore year, early junior year. I love when you highlighted the importance of finding out exactly where you fit in as a student, because that's the key. Because the end game is a college degree. So if we can figure out how we can navigate our journey to receive our rewards, that's the beauty of the journey.
And you want to do it as close to debt-free as possible. So if that means going to a small college and you're a big fish in a small pond versus going to a big fish and there's 17 of you or 17 people that have the same GPA level as you can go to a smaller school and be a scholar, a presidential scholar at that institution and go for free. I have a friend that went to Southwest DeKalb as well. She went to Payne as well. She did not pay $1 because she chose to go to that small institution. She was considered a presidential scholar. She didn't have to pay anything. She just had to be a student, and she didn't pay a dime. So you have to weigh the options of the institutions and what levels of scholarship do they offer with your GPA range. Can you go here for free, but here you might have to take a loan out? That's something you need to weigh.
What are some resources that people can tap into that makes it a little bit easy for them to compare maybe some of the schools that are in similar categories? So especially if they're athletes.
I think on the academic side, because I don't know athletically, but there's Black Common App, there's Common App. Those are resources that are free. Your counselors, actually they have it where the schools are connected to that. As soon as you pick a school that you want to go to and you upload your transcript, it can send them updates as you upload them. But Common App is a great one. They make it so efficient for students now where application can be done here with one click, scholarships that you apply for or that you're eligible for with this school, it'll send you a notice. But all of this is most helpful the earlier you apply and get in. You have that out the way. Now you know what you're eligible for scholarship wise because you've already been accepted. But if you wait until the end and get waitlisted, you don't know what free resources are out there for you because you've waited till the end.
Ms. Johnson, my mind here, I'm truly just thinking about student athletes and trying to just get an understanding from a professional such as yourself. You have and I thought about your sister too. In that same breath, just like that, I thought about your sister. Your sister's a sophomore, if I'm correct. Mm-hmm. You're the new coach. You're coaching her now.
Yeah, she don't like it.
Your approach, because this is our example. This is our example. Because you're the coach, we're focused on preparing her to get her ready for her next level as a sophomore. Has she created her binder?
Wait, you got to explain what the binder is. I feel like that is a unique Coach White thing.
Well, Coach White is old school. I love computers. That's my profession. But I also know that we do have issues with technology. So I like paper copies of everything because I have to archive. So the reference is I'm a paper guy. Mm-hmm. Have your sister identified an area, a type of college that will fit her skill set academically, not athletically first. Has she started to program her mind in that manner to understand the importance?
I don't know that she has 100%. I know that she hears it. She knows that that's her next step because she's been told, next step is you're going to be sought after. They're going to start, and they have already started mailing things. Just saying, hey, but she's not old enough. I know that she has in her mind already where she might want to go. She has twin brothers that just graduated from Southwest that went to a particular college. She has myself that went to a particular college. 2 other sisters that went to 2 different colleges, both PWIs and HBCUs. So through her siblings' eyes, she's taken tours already. She knows what the GPA requirements are. So I think she has all the tools in her head. She just has not been put to a point where she needs to start creating that bond in front of her. But I don't know that she's put any schools in the slots just yet. But I like that she's saying, I like this school. She's in the mindset of, I like how this dorm is versus that one in the calf. And the athletic side is helping that because she runs in the Junior Olympics. So she's able to take competitions at other colleges. So even though she's in high school, she's soaking in the college environment to now know, I don't know if I want to apply here because the population is bigger than I want. She can put words to it now, even though she's experienced it the years before.
That is what I want our young audience to hear. You have to have a plan in place. I think that's the beauty of my favorite word, community, family. Those are the places where you get that resource you need to empower you.
Yeah, she's not yet 20, so I've been further in more places than she has. So as her older sister, it's my job to show her the resources and the options she has. When we're looking at colleges, if you have at least a 3.7, you automatically get this merit scholarship. Versus this school, it doesn't matter. So those are things that I'm supposed to bring before her and allow her to make decisions on her own, but at least let her know that this is a game out here. It's a option thing. It's not just this school. I like their colors. I hear that a lot from high schoolers. I like their colors. It's not just that, because it's deeper than that. You know, it's a privilege for them to have you on their college campus. A lot of students don't know you having a great GPA, a high GPA, makes their graduation rate spike. It makes their scholar and their rigor score spike. So you are just as much as an asset to them as they are to you. So you want to get the most bang for your buck wherever you decide to invest your next 4 years.
You know, in stating that, you made me think about curriculums. How important are the curriculums that, you know, students should look at? You were a recruiter. Did they ask you any questions to spark interest in a particular major based on the curriculums that were being offered from the two colleges you represented?
As much as I would have liked, I think they were more focused on the giveaways on the table and the colors that the school represented, when you should be asking questions like, what is the student to professor ratio? Because that'll let you know, will your professor notice when you're not in class, or is it just you have an X because you weren't there and they don't care? They should be asking, you know, if you're looking into IT and you don't want to do just one way, can I take mathematics to get to this route? If I want to be a lawyer, do I have to go for law or can I go for English? And what path? Because there's multiple ways to skin a cat. And a lot of students think because you want to be a lawyer, you have to go to school for law or you have to be in poli. So you can do it in a different fashion. It looks different for everybody. So they should be asking different questions. What majors do you offer if I want to be a barber? Because I've had that question. Instantly, we can do entrepreneurship. You can do business. There's other, you can do 4-year college and then go back and do barber school. So I think they were worried about the wrong things sometimes. And then there were some students that were prepared. They were asking, if I want a career in this field, how can your school help me get there? Leave it open-ended. Let the school answer that question. Don't make it harder for yourself. And the world has changed. The majors that were in demand then have shifted now. So how do you pivot as a student if you're in college and you see that it might be shifting away from what you might be wanting to do? Can you change your major over? What is your transfer rate? Do the credits really transfer if I need to make a shift of school? Those are the types of things you got to buckle down and start asking when you're at those tables.
Yeah, I think we're drawing to a close, but I want to bring it back to your journey just a little bit, because you clearly have been a resource for other people. Who were the people in your life that inspired you the most during your particular journey, or they served as that resource for you when you might not have known to ask these questions for your next level?
Well, it started with my dad. Coach White kind of hit on that a little bit. My dad, I think he drew it from a place of making sure his children had something he didn't have. Even my friends. I have teammates to this day from high school remembering my dad doing a celebration dance when they would hit a home run, or cheering for them like they were his child. He followed them all the way to college, and it's just like, it's great to have someone in your corner celebrating you. And my dad is relentless at that. No matter what I do, if I want to jump off a cliff, he's going to ask, do you have a plan for this? And he's going to be celebrating as I'm jumping. So it's just great to know, no matter what I did, my mom and my dad's just more animated, but My mom and my dad were not college graduates. They stopped going to college to have me. So when they watch me now, they always tell me how much me just trying things, me putting a plan in place and putting action behind it just brings happiness to them. That motivates me to know that even if I fail, I tried something, and my parents didn't celebrate me any different. And they taught me to make the college campus better than I found it. And they also told me don't come home without a degree. So whatever that looked like, that let me know this is home. This is 4 years. I have to make the best of it. I pay money to go here, or I have a scholarship. How can I get the best resources from this investment? So just starting with them, and then as I started to network on the college campus, having friends that had like-minded ideas, or that the goal was to graduate, not just to play a sport. It wasn't just to keep our scholarship another year. It was to play this sport that pays for me to get a degree. That kind of catapulted me. And Coach White's here. He's still been in my life. Coach White hasn't gone anywhere. And I think that's something to speak about, because not everybody has the privilege to say they have their coaches from high school support in their present time. If I need him, if I need to connect someone to him, I feel comfortable doing that because we kept a relationship. I've come back to my school and visit. You know, I volunteered for maybe a year and a half after I graduated grad school. I kept coming. It was cool to see Coach White doing his thing with those little kids when I used to be a little kid. So I think just giving back and pulling someone forward, or just being the face, so that when there's been times where he might need to connect someone at Payne, a student, he knows he can connect to me now. So it's like being an open resource both ways. It's not all good to just take. You have to be able to be given to, and people can reach out to you as well. And then you turn around and become that cheerleader as well. My parents, they won't let up, and that allows me to not let up either. They did some damage instilling the tenacity in me. I will say that. I said it scares me sometimes, but I would never want to leave this earth and there be a dream or something that I wanted to do that I didn't even just try. The richest place on the earth is a graveyard, because it's full of ideas, because people just were too scared to try. So that's why I try to instill that in students who might not have the parental support or guardian support, you know, as a college student. So I try to be on my college campus a lot. Even though Augusta's not close, I try to always go there and do things so that the males there, I'm really big on males. The students in general, but the males for sure, like, hey, Miss Bree, can I use you as a reference? Can you help me with this? How do I fill out this scholarship? Like, you can connect to me because I've been there, and I know people that can help you get there. So, yeah.
I love that so much.
Oh, I definitely love it. You know, I want to close out, and usually when I close out, I like to say something. Miss Bre'yanna Johnson,
Yeah.
you are peace that connect all pieces. There's no doubt in my mind that when your presence is near, there's no disconnect.
I received that.
I'm honest. In my mind, you are definitely a connector. Even during this chat, you continuously repeated that you connected pieces. And I don't even know if you ever thought about that in your life.
I don't know if I've heard it that way. Self-reflection has been a big thing personally, because I can do, but then when I sit and look back, and I'm like, wow, I really was able to do that. And I blow myself away sometimes. I really do.
So if you can add the connector along with the honeybee, because you are connecting those pieces. So I thank you for joining us today. I felt in my heart you would be the one to share that academic piece that was missing. For those who don't have anyone, hopefully it's us, that we can connect those dots to give them that hope that they need to achieve what they're striving to achieve. So thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Again, thank you for watching Students of the Game, where we sit down and talk about student athletes and their journeys, and you might leave with some gems as well and some resources. So thank you again for joining us, and stay tuned for more.